Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you're new here, I am just documenting my job searching series, the highs, the lows, and the messy in between. So in case you want to keep up with this series, please go back and watch the previous videos. So today I decided that I wanted to talk about something that happened to me. I'm gonna call it embarrassing, but in real sense it wasn't even embarrassing to me. So depending on how you process your emotions, once in a while in your tech journey, you're gonna have that one technical interview that shows you the things that you did not know were humanly possible. And for me, this is one of them. So the year is 2022. Was it in 2022, I believe? So I was in Dubai. So it was really my first time to even interview in a first world country. And that context is actually really important, because when you're interviewing in a first world country, the technical interviews are much different from not a first world country, because I've had a chance, thank God, to interview in both. One is very much definition oriented, like people ask you what's the meaning of this, what's the definition of this, and whatever. But when it comes to the first world country, baby, the interviews there are advanced. Like, you could come in with all your definitions and all your know-how of things and how, but like if you can't apply that knowledge into whatever it is, then you're as good as not selected. So I'll just preface this video by saying that I have tasted KPLC blackout and I have tasted a technical interview blackout, and I highly recommend going out with your friends on a random Friday and blacking out there, because a technical interview blackout, I'm telling you, a KPLC blackout could never. And you know, it's not like, because me, I've been in other fields. It's not like a comms interview. It's not like a comms interview where you could, nothing against my comms people, but I believe I make content for people who have great comprehension skills. You know, when I used to interview for comms, like even when someone asks you something that you don't know, a word here and another word there and another word here and another word here can form a sentence, and you can, if you're confident enough, you can buy yourself into a comms interview. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, a technical interview, yeah, if you don't know, you don't know, and the sooner you accept, the better. So let's get into this story. So I had applied for this role. It was a performance marketing analyst role back when I thought I would become a marketing analyst. So the company was in UAE and I was in Dubai during that time as well. It's one of the leading food tech companies in Dubai. A little Google search will give you that company, but I can't mention it because of obvious reasons. So for the first interview, it had like 5 interviews. So the one that I failed was the 4th interview. From the first to the 3rd, I had cruised really nicely, because one thing about me, I'm very confident and I carry a mindset to the interviews that nobody can beat me. Nobody's going to follow me home and beat me. Nobody is going to do anything to me. So why should I fear a fellow person? Do you get me? So like for me, I don't show up for interviews from a point of fear, ever. I don't interview from a point of fear. I interview from a point of, let me learn what this company is all about. Let me meet these people and all that jazz. So first interview was online, so they liked me. Second interview was also online, they liked me. So the 3rd interview, I went to the headquarters. Their headquarters are beautiful. Like the offices are really beautiful. You know how like you get into someone's office and then you start imagining how your desk, where it's gonna be, where you're gonna sit and stuff like that. I did all that 9 yards. And the person who was interviewing me was the product owner of the product now that I was gonna go and work into. Even came for me downstairs, greeted me so well. Like, unajua, and this is one thing I like to tell people who are searching for jobs. Like, when someone has read your CV, just know that they think you are that thing that is in your CV. Now, Sasa, it's up to you to come and sell yourself really well. Sometimes you may not sell yourself very well. So like, he even came for me downstairs. He was chatting with me, telling me about his experience. He had worked in the Big 4, and I was like, yeah, this is why you actually, in my head I was like, yeah, this is why you actually work here. We went to the office. They asked me coffee or water. Obviously I picked water because I still have pressure. I don't have pressure, you know. So I sat down. I even carried my laptop. When I was walking him through my experience, I also had like a project that I was presenting during the interview. So it was a really good project and he was thoroughly impressed. That is going to be very important because of how this story is gonna go. He was thoroughly impressed. I remember him telling me that from how we have interviewed today, during the technical interview, for you, it's just gonna be a walk in the park. Ladies and gentlemen, it was not a walk, but there was also no park. So like, he interviewed me. The other side of the interview was like a case study. We did a case. One thing about me, You see those case studies, like the problem solving things that people throw at you and you have to think really fast? I excel in those things very quickly. I don't fail my case studies, because one strength about me is I think very fast, and because of exposing myself to a lot of materials and a lot of case studies, like global case studies, because I read those ones like a magazine, because I read a lot of case studies. Even recently I was reading the Zara's case study. So because of reading that, and I also read a lot of financial reports, like I read a lot of annual report. So every single time you ask me how to solve a problem, I already know, because I know a case study that I can borrow something from. So we did a case study, and he's very mind blown. At some point, even stopped being an interview, it started being like a conversation, and how they want to expand and everything and every little thing about that. And we're just going back and forth about these industries and whatever. I am telling you, he was very impressed to the point where after that interview, he literally told me that. Like, I don't even have to wait for the message. Like, I've already proceeded to the next step. It's going to be on Tuesday at 2 p.m. You just have to wait for communication. That is how impressed he was. And why is that important? Why is that piece of information is important? It's very important for you to seek that, so that when I say what I'm about to say, it makes so much sense, so that you get the picture. This man even like walked me outside downstairs to the door. Like, he literally walked me and he wished me really well, and he invited me for the next interview. So my job was just to go home and wait for communication. So I get home. By the time I get home and I connect to the internet, because I didn't connect to the internet when I was in the metro. So when I got home and I connect to the internet, guess what is the first email? The first email is a recruiter telling me how much they were impressed, how much like that product manager was impressed with me, and they're inviting me for their technical interview the next week on Tuesday. It's going to be around SQL. So I start prepping. So when I'm prepping for that interview, I'm prepping according to how I have interviewed before in Kenya. And most of the times in Kenya, the interviews revolve around what is a table, what is a view, what is a database, what is these things and whatever. So I am prepping that. I'm prepping the definitions part. I'm equally prepping the technical, like the problem solving part, but I'm not too keen on that, because I have interviewed before and I know this is the way. Come to the day of the interview. So I go to the interview. When I go to the interview, I'm smartly dressed. Acha nikwambie, even if you don't know anything about whatever it is that you're going to be doing, make sure you are smartly dressed for that interview. If you're going to fumble a technical interview, make sure you've dressed the part, especially for the people that care. In Dubai, that's a culture. Even if it's a tech role, they really do care about your physical appearance. Yeah, so you have to look the part. Because they might be in jeans, but never confuse you who's looking for an employment to people who are already in the employment. Unless stated otherwise. Unless they've said you can show up with a t-shirt and whatever. Just read the room. So when I go there, I get there, the guy comes for me again. He's very excited. In fact, today, he's not only alone, but he's brought a team. He has brought a team to see what kind of a brilliant person I am. So when I get in there, it's in a boardroom. So the monitor is there. The laptop has been placed there. They have sticky notes and every single thing. So basically, this is about to be live coding. And so he has already told the other people that I performed impressively in my previous interview. When I switched on the laptop, it was at that very moment when I read the first question. There were only 3 questions. When I read the first question, it was at that very moment that I realized that I might as well just walk out of this interview right now. My brain was actually telling me, run away. Do you know that TikTok sound? Like, run away right now. But then I said, you know what is going to happen? First of all, I'm going to stay for the plot. Because now that I've realized that I'm not going to pass this technical interview, because it's not even a matter of passing. Can I even start to do it? I can't. Because I remember, let me tell you something, because it only goes down from here. So I'm reading the case study, I'm reading the first question, I'm realizing that, yeah, I can tell, if you're familiar with SQL, I'm about to get a bit in the jargon. I can tell this question demands me to do an inner join. I know that theoretically, and I can tell this question needs me to perform like an inner join here. But like, I don't get it. Like, also I don't get where to start. Like, ata si get into me nini. And then akasema, you can just, so then now they open the ID that I'm going to be using. Them, they were using Google BigQuery. I want to tell you, up until that very moment, I had never used BigQuery. I had used all the others. I had used Postgres, I had used everything, but I had never used BigQuery. So I don't even know where I'm supposed to start querying my rumors, because they are rumors. Because at that very moment, guys, I could have used my free will. I could have told these people that, you know what, you guys, I can't do this interview today. Can we reschedule? I should have said that, but I did not. Instead, I looked at him. Oh, before the BigQuery thing, he asked me if I needed some snacks. They had like cakes. They had like cakes and some donuts and coffee and whatever. I said yes this time. Do you know why? Because if I'm not going to walk out of this place with a job, I might as well walk out this place when I'm full. So I asked for the snacks. So the snacks were brought, they were cakes, but then when you interview in Dubai, when they give you lunch, they really give you good bite-ins. Like, they have good bite-ins, because this is not my first time to eat in a place of interview. They had like some really nice donuts, some really nice cakes, just some bite-ins over there, and then they had coffee in like a takeaway cup. Even the snacks are like in a takeaway cup that you can take home. Did you get the picture? So the snacks have been brought there, and me shamelessly asked this person, hey, excuse me, where can I write the query? And I could see the look in his face that he was really disappointed, but then he was also rooting for me. And so he showed me. And then now I start to perform my miracle. So like, I start to write my own rumors. Obviously, the queries don't have an error, but the fact that they don't have an error doesn't mean that it makes sense. It just means that I'm just writing rumors, but rumors that don't have an error, basically. So I write question 1, I attempt question 1, I attempt question 2, I attempt question 3. I know all of these are rumors. And when it comes to saving, I export it, and then I save it, knowing very well at this moment, I know very well I'm doing rumors. It's been televised. I am telling you, the blackout was being televised. The blackout was there in 3D being televised, so they can see there's really nothing that I'm doing. And it's very embarrassing, because this guy thought I was too good. He called his friends to come and see me, and I can see that he's very disappointed, but he's also really kind. He's feeling very sorry for me. He's even asking me, is everything okay? Do you need more time? And I was like, no, I don't need more time. And fortunately for me, time was over. So when it's time to leave, may I wake up, I thank them for their time. I honestly do thank them for their time. I ask for a copy of the interview, because you can ask for these things. I ask for a copy of the interview. I carry my snacks and my coffee. You think I'm going to leave that snacks and coffee for who exactly? So I'm thanking them for their time. And then he asks me, he was so kind, he even asked me, do you want me to walk you out? I said no, it's okay. I said no, it's fine. I'll just walk myself out. Took my snacks, because I knew I was never gonna see these people ever again in my entire life. So I just take my snacks, I go outside, I call my brother. I tell him that the interview was not so great. I don't think I'm going to pass. And then I go get into the metro. I go to Dubai Mall. I go there. I go to their gaming arcade. I did some games over there. I ate there. Took a metro back home. By the time I got home and I connected to the internet, truly the rejection email was there staring at me. And that didn't really hurt. It did not really hurt. They did not even need to explain to me. What I had done wrong. I knew what I had done wrong, and I knew it really well. And so, that was my very last time to interview for a marketing analytics interview. I said that was the time I said I will never bother myself again with marketing analytics. And then I took my L. To be really honest, I took my L from that interview. And from that point onwards, now I started understanding the market much better, what they're looking for, how to interview. You should not interview like a student. When you go in for an interview with just the knowledge of definitions and whatever, you're just interviewing like a student. You need to expose your mind to real world problems and come up with real world solutions. that is where I learned that expensive lessons. So was that embarrassing for me? No, it was never embarrassing for me, because there are things I feel embarrassment. I'm human, but like that was not embarrassing for me. It was cringe-worthy. It was very cringe. But embarrassment, no, it wasn't really embarrassing, because for me, I never feel embarrassment when it comes to careers, because sasa I didn't know. Sasa nasikuwa najua. Sasa what was I to do? And I need the job, Plus, it depends really on how you treat your interviews. For me, I treat my interviews as a way to identify like a skill gap. Like, what is my skill gap? What's the gap between where I'm standing right now and the skills that I possess to what the people are looking for in the market? Sometimes I treat interviews like that. Most of the times, I just treat interviews as social experiments. It's more like a matter of it's like throwing mud on the wall. Whatever sticks will stick. Whatever doesn't stick, but make sure that you prepare really well. So from that day, I've always prepared for my technical interviews really, really well. And safe to say, from that day, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, I did not fail I never failed another technical interview when I was in Dubai. The next time I failed a technical interview now was when I came back to Kenya. Because now when I came back to Kenya, now we have reverted back to the definitions. Now I am preparing like that way for case studies and whatever, and then I come back and sit in an interview, and the interview is asking me what is a table, what is a view, what is SQL, what is data normalization. And do you see the imbalance? Basically, I'm really happy, because even how I realized that I wanted to be in finance is because every time I used to apply for financial analytics, and I did a number of those ones, I never ever failed my technical interviews when it came to finance. Never. And finance was not even my first choice when it comes to analytics. Like marketing analytics was always my first choice, but I never failed my technical interviews when it came to finance. Like nilikuwa tu na pass tu. Like I would just pass every fintech interview that I did. Like I could just pass easily. The thing, not easily, obviously through hard work. The very thing that used to eliminate me from finance role was the fact that I don't have a finance background. I don't have any certification to back up my experience, which now I'm doing the certification, so that is not going to be an excuse anymore. And that was when I realized that I'm passionate about marketing analytics and I'm passionate about the marketing world, but isn't it common sense to just go with this thing that is coming easy to me, and this thing that can be fixed by if I do an FMVA or if I do a CFA, I am just going to be good to go. And that's how, children, I decided that I'm going to stick to finance. So if you're out there and you recently did a technical interview and you feel like you embarrassed yourself, to be really honest, I don't think you embarrassed yourself. If anything, you learned. But next time, pull up your socks. So I wanted to share that story in case you've been battling with feelings of embarrassment, or you've been fearing to go to attend a technical interview. Don't fear. Just go there. If you pass, good for you, congratulations. If you don't pass, then you learned something and you took something with you home. And isn't that the whole point of this life? Learning and trying and failing and trying again and failing again. So that's a story of how embarrassed quote unquote, that's a story of how I embarrassed myself in a technical interview. And to tell you that, don't feel embarrassed about your technical interviews. Go there and do them. Nobody's going to come home and beat you, and that's the mindset that you should be working with. Anyway, thank you so much for keeping me company up to this point. I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.